Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. It's the second session of the Dataviz Challenge. The first one took place on Tuesday. I am Florian Caillon. I am your host for today, and I'm very excited to welcome you for this second session. But before we begin, in order for you to enjoy this session to the fullest, let's quickly go over some house rules. Please don't use the chat box on your right-hand side for questions. It's there for greetings and for sharing links with participants throughout the session. If you have a technical or content-related question, we invite you to use the dedicated Q&A section using the QR code that is here on your left, or clicking the Q&A button at the top of your screen. This will be used to ask a question to our speakers. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of each presentation. And while you're there, you'll also see a poll about today's webinar. So feel free to fill it out anytime during the session. We will also send you the survey link after the webinar so you can fill it in later if you prefer. And we really value your feedback on our sessions. Finally, we encourage you to visit the guidelines and resources section of the event website. There you'll find useful links to Help Center articles and to several interesting parts of the Copernicus Marine website, as well as links shared by our guest speakers. Now let's take a look at today's agenda. We'll begin with a short recap of the Dataviz challenge for newcomers. We will continue with a live tour of MyOcean Pro Viewer by Anaïs Perrin from the user support team at Mercator. And then a step-by-step tutorial will be presented by freelance designer Catalina Hildebrandt, showing you how to build a news infographic from Copernicus data. And we'll finish with the official challenge kickoff at the end of today's session. We'll be taking your questions throughout the session, so don't hesitate to publish them in the dedicated section. And if you want to watch the first session that happened on Tuesday, the replay is available in the replay section of the website. So before we dive into today's session, I'd like to briefly introduce the Dataviz Challenge, which is an initiative by the Copernicus Marine Service to explore how marine data can be transformed into clear, engaging, and meaningful visual stories, especially by designers and data visualization practitioners. So it's a quick reminder of where we are. So Tuesday was about inspiration and use cases, seeing how designers and data practitioners approach ocean data. You can find the replay of this session in the replays tab on the event page. And today is about getting practical. So tools, workflows, and officially kicking off the Dataviz Challenge. After today's sessions, the challenge runs until June, giving you time to explore ideas, prototype, iterate, or work as a small team if you wish. The main reward is strong visibility. The winning visualization may be featured as the cover of the 10th edition of the Ocean State Report, which is one of the flagship publications of the Copernicus Marine Service. The Dataviz Challenge is an invitation to use Copernicus Marine data as creative material. In one sentence, you're expected to create a data visualization using Copernicus Marine data to make ocean science understandable, visible, and impactful. You're not expected to produce scientific analysis. The goal is to transform data into clear, engaging visual stories that help a broader audience better understand ocean phenomena. One last point before we dive into the practical sessions: we're not looking for scientific perfection or complex technical workflows. What matters most is clarity, storytelling, and visual impact. How you interpret the data and make it meaningful for others. With that in mind, today's session will now focus on tools and workflows to help you get started. Before moving on, I just want to highlight two sections of the event website that will be especially useful if you decide to explore Copernicus Marine data or take part in the challenge. First, the Resources tab This is where we've gathered a lot of material to help you get started, explanation about ocean topics, tutorials on how to access and download data, introduction to tools, file formats, and also examples of data visualization. You don't need to know any of this in advance. It's all there to support you step by step. And second is the challenge rules and participation section. This is where you'll find all the practical information about the Dataviz challenge itself, which data are available, how to submit a visualization, the guidelines, the timeline. We'll come back to the challenge in more detail at the end of the event, but for now, just keep in mind that everything you need both to learn and to participate is already available on the website, and you can explore it at your own pace. Don't do this on your own and bring competition to the challenge. We invite you to share this webinar and the challenge widely so that Copernicus Marine data can reach new audiences and spark even more powerful visual stories. And with that, I will leave the floor to Anaïs Perrin, who will give you a live tour of the MyOcean Pro Viewer. So Anaïs, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Florian. So I will share my screen. All right. Yeah. So hello, everyone. My name is Anaïs, and I'm a part of the Copernicus Marine user support team. In this session, I will show you how can I use MyOcean Pro to explore a natural event and turn it into something visually readable. So to begin, let me show you how to access the viewer. So from the Copernicus Marine homepage, you can click on Ocean Visualization and see three viewers: the MyOcean Learn, the MyOcean Lite, and the MyOcean Pro. And for today's training, we are using MyOcean Pro because it's the most advanced environment and the one that gives you the most flexibility for exploring, comparing, and downloading data. So now, when you first open the MyOcean Viewer Pro, you will see default layers already displayed on the map: the seawater velocity, the temperature, and the chlorophyll. Directly on the map, I can click and drag. I can zoom in and zoom out using the mouse wheel. I can also show or hide layers with the eye icon, and I can also change the order of the layers. I can remove the layer if I no longer need it, and hover the variable name to see information about the project, the dataset, and the variable. So for this demonstration, I choose the tropical cyclone Freddy and focus on its footprint on the ocean surface. So now let's begin the exploration. I click on Add the layer here, and it's open the Copernicus Marine Data Store inside the viewer. At this stage, the catalog may look large, but the viewers give us several tools to narrow it down. Under each product card, you can usually see essential information such as the product name, the acquisition mode, the geographical area and the spatial resolution, the time coverage and the temporal resolution, and a list of the variables. On the left side, you have the filter panel. By default, you often start with the simplified interface, which is very convenient. The simple view is useful when you already know roughly what you're looking for. And if I need more precision, I can switch to the advanced filters. And this is useful when I want to be more specific about precise variables, category, or if I search for a feature type, processing level, temporal resolution, and so on. So in the simplified interface here, I can already narrow down the catalog very efficiently by entering the exact variable I want to visualize. So here, for example, I am interested to the wave height. So I will select the wave significant height and also the wind and the wind wave direction. Then I will select the global ocean in the area section here, and I will set the time range to the 15th February 2023. Oh, sorry, to the 28th February 2023. So this immediately narrows this catalog to much smaller set of relevant products. Among the results, we can identify the waves product and the winds product. So let's start with the waves analysis product, the global ocean waves analysis here. So when I click on the product, it's open the product description page. So this page is useful because it gives me a quick overview of the product before I add anything on to the map. So at the top of the page here, I can see the overview, which briefly explain what the product contains, the use cases, which show example of how this product can be used, and a classification section, which summarize the main characteristic of the product, such as the product ID, the source, the spatial extent and resolution, and so on. On the left-hand side, you have several tabs. So the description for the general presentation of the product, the notification where I can check the incidents, updates, and maintenance information, the data access where I can see the available data sets in this product and download them via 3 different options. I can also click on the contact tab here if I need support. And below of that, I can also access the documentation, including the user manual, the quality information documents, the synthesis quality overview, the roadmap, the license, and the link to our article, How to Cite. At the bottom left, I can see the DOI, which link to the product reference. And I can also click on the share button on the top right corner to copy the link of this product. So to start building the visualization, I will click on Add to Map here. And since I have already filtered the catalog, the windows immediately displays the variable relevant to my search, but I can still access other variables by clicking all layers here. So I had the 2 wave-related variables I want to use, the sea surface wave significant height and the wind wave from direction. So now I leave the product page, I return to the viewer, and I will click on the fixed orange button here to automatically display the latest available data. So now I can see both wave layers open in the interface. So let's add the wind variable to our visualization. So I click here at the layer, and the filters I applied earlier are still preserved as long as I do not click on the clear button here. So I will simply choose the wind product I want, which is the aerially reprocessed sea surface wind data. I will click on Add to Map, and I will select the wind variable here. Okay, so sorry, I have to move the bar here. Okay. I will also click on the Fix button here, and sorry for the lag. Now I have 3 layers in my interface, but in its default appearance. Before moving in the appearance of the layer, I first position my visualization at the moment I want to visualize. So here I will locate the visualization near to the Mauritius and Réunion Island. And at the bottom of the screen, I have the time bar, which shows the available time periods open layers. So here I will move the time bar to the 20 February 2023. So I can zoom in the time bar using the mouse wheel here, and I will click on the 28 February 2023. So at this stage, just 3 layers are already open, but the deviation is still in default appearance. So before I start customizing them, let me quickly introduce the icons that appears on the layers from left to right. First, I have the download icon, which allows me to download the data. Then I have the information icon, which take me back to the product description page. Next, I have the layer icon, which allows me to switch to another variables from the same product. Then I have the gear icon, which I will use now to customize the appearance of the layer. And finally, I have the log icon, which apply a logarithmic scale. So now I focus on the gear icon here, and I will start with the wind layer. So the opacity of the layer can be adjusted for all data layers. For vectors such as the wind, the viewer offers several possible display styles. I can use solids or a color-ruled representation, particle, which create a motion on the map, vectors for display the direction of this data, and are hashed areas based on condition that I can define here. For example, like this. So I have to decide here what condition that I want to hash. This representation can be combined, so depending of the effect I want to achieve. And for this presentation, I will keep the particles style only, like this. I can also change the color, and here I will choose the gray color, and I do not change the minimum and the maximum value to display. Next, move to the second layer, the sea surface wind wave direction. So here again, I kept the particle style, which appear here like moving wave stresses traveling in a direction. Here I will use a white color, like this, and don't touch to the minimum and maximum values. And finally, the background layer, the sea surface wave significant height, that provide the main color-hood footprint of the cyclone. So here, I will just select the solid for the color-hood presentation. And for the color gradient, I can also adjust several additional parameters. For example, here I can invert the color scale. I will also select the blue colors, the blue palette here. So I can invert the color scale. I can also use color step, where I can define the number of search thresholds and their values. I can also set the minimum and maximum values to this for these layers. And I can also choose whether or not I want to hide values outside that range. In other words, the out layers. By clicking here, this masks the out layers. I can also use the auto button here. This is very useful because it automatically adjusts the minimum and the maximum values to the ones currently visible in the map view. And I can here clear this option. So now that I adjust the styling, the cyclone become much easier to read. I hope there is not too much lag, so that it still still looks good to you. So of course, this is only one possible combination. The viewers allows many other different choices in terms of styles, colors, thresholds, ranges, and layer order. So there is a lot of flexibility here. Now I come briefly to the time bar here at the bottom of the screen. And here we can follow the event through time. So I will start here on the 19th February, and I can move forward. So I can directly click on the bar, or I can also use the left and right arrow on my keyboard. Sorry, to move here hour by hour, because my open layers here are hourly data. So you can see at the bottom, I change the display each hours. So now I will select a good point, a good moment, like here. Oh, sorry, here. Yes. So before moving on, I also want to briefly show the depth bar here with my current state case study. It should not appear here because there are all surface layers, but I kept one extract layer in this session, the seawater velocity. So the depth bar is here because this layer includes a vertical dimension. And for example, if I display this seawater velocity, and if I change the depth by clicking directly on the bar, or I can also zoom in with the mouse wheel. Here we see that the visualization change as well. So then if I remove this layer here, because I do not need for the Freddy example, and once I do that here, the depth bar disappear. So I will display our layers. So now I can place a point close to the eyes of the cyclone just by clicking on the map. As soon as do that, the viewer gives me the coordinates, the values of the open variables, and that exact location and time. And it also creates graphs automatically. So I will here maximize these windows, like here. If I want to refine the graph, I can here click on Adjust Axis in the menu of the graph. And here I will set the time windows from the 15th February 2023 to the 28th February 2023. Next is, so let me do the same for the other two graphs. Next is, and the last one. All right. Oh, no. So it was in February. Oh, sorry. February 20. I have to zoom with the mouse wheel again and click here, and I will set to this hour. Okay. Oh, I will simply move the point here, like this, at this point. So now, from the graph menu here, I can also download the data graphs directly in a NetCDF, CSV, and SVG format. Once the time windows is adjusted here, the signal become much clearer, and we can click quickly. Oh, sorry, I can apply here. And we can quickly see the strong peak associated with the cyclone. So I can do the same kind of analysis with the line to create a transect, for example, here, or an area. And I will click on the escape button here to set this figure. But here I'm not going to spend much time on this because the logic is essentially the same. So instead, I will now go to the import button here. So I can import geometries easier from the predefined list or from formats such as WKT, GeoJSON, or Chepfile. And for this example, I will open the presets and then click on the marine ecoregion. And I will select the Mascarene Islands. And I will import this geometry directly into the visualization. All right, so now I can also combine the geometries together with the point here I create earlier. So I can drag and drop the graphs here. So I can compare a very local signal taken close to the eyes of the cyclone with the border regional signal represented by the imported geometries in the same view. So the viewer then display the values and the graphs for both objects together, which makes comparison much easier. So before moving on, I will just briefly open the settings panel. So here I can adjust a number of interface options, such as base map, display toponyms, the projections, the units for objects. I have also some options related to the geometries and graph. I will not go into much detail here, but it is useful to know that these settings exist because they help adjust and adapt the viewer to the way you want to explore and present the data. So now that I've explored the event in the viewer, I can move to the download step. So to do that, I will click on the download icon of the layer I want to extract. So here I choose the wave significant height. So this lets me download only the part of the data set I actually need, a subset data. For geographic area, I have two possibilities. I can manually enter the geographic coordinates of my choice, or I can use the define on map option and draw a new area directly on the viewer. If I just click once, I create a point. And if I click and drag, I create a zone. But I can also select a geometry that already exists in my visualization. So here I choose the Mascarene Islands geometries. All right. Then I will define the date range. So making sure it's staying within the variable time coverage of the dataset. If I want, I can also use the ASIN map option here to match to the currently period currently displayed in the viewer. So for example, I will start to the 18, I will February, and I will here select to the 21 February. Because this is a surface data set, I do not have the depth range to define here. I can also use the also download section to add another variables from the same dataset. And for this example, I will also download at the same time the sea surface wind wave from direction. So once the request is ready, I can easier click on the download icon here, the download button, for a direct download from the interface up to 800 megabytes. Or I can also use the automate button here to generate a template of this data via a command line or in Python. So you can download this data using the Copernicus Marine toolbox. So the Copernicus Marine toolbox lets you download large subset data and so many other things, but that's not the focus here. And if I need it, I can also use the browse files option here. So this lets me retrieve the original files distributed by the producers rather than the custom dataset, a custom subset of data. So these files are usually organized by the year and month and represent the full spatial coverage of the dataset. So let's now move on the latest features that can be very useful in practice. So I will also here minimize here. So if you need assistance while using the viewer, you can click on the chat bubble at the top under Talk to an Expert. So this opens the support windows where you can easier ask a Blue or AI assistant, here ask a question, or contact a human support agent. This is especially useful if you have a practical question while exploring the data, or if you encounter a problem with a download request. You can also access the Help Center article directly from the viewer without leaving the page. So you can click on Help here, and you can check our introductory article on MyOcean Viewer Pro. So here we click on Introduction, and you have and you have here a Q&A section here. Will likely answer some of your questions. Another feature is the share function here. So once you have built the visualization, you may want to reuse it, send it to someone else, or integrate it into another platform. So you can use the share functionality here. So the first option is a link. So here the viewer generates a shortened URL that represents the current map, including the active layers, the geometries, and the graph. The second option is image. This allows you to create a static image of the current view. You can choose whether you want to keep the legend and or the captation visible, and either download or share the result. The third option is video, as this is especially interesting for a dynamic phenomenon. So here I can define the start and stop date, the time step, the format, the duration, and whether I want the legend and the captation to remain visible. And the last option is the embed. So this generates an embed code snippet that can be copied into another platform. So if someone wants to integrate the visualization into a website or another online environment, so this can be done directly from the viewer. Another useful feature is the possibility to upload external data. So in addition to Copernicus Marine product, MyOcean Pro can also open and display NetCDF files coming from other providers, as well as files uploaded by the users. To do this, I simply click on upload icon on the top viewer, and a panel then open where I can either drag and drop a NetCDF file or select it from my computer up to 2 GB. I can also choose to store the file in my own bucket here. The upload dataset are normally kept for a limited period of time, around 7 days, unless they are stored in the user's own bucket. So then I will return to the add layer here and see that there are 3 tabs: the data store, the Marine Copernicus Marine service, the personal catalog, and the other provider. I will clear the filter here. The personal catalog tab lists the data set I upload myself, and the other providers here list the compatible external data sets. So the viewer can also become a place where Copernicus Marine data and external data are explored side by side. Finally, I can click on the information button to open the about page of the viewer. It's give a short overview of the MyOcean Pro, show weekly usage statistics, a list of keyboard, mouse shortcut, and also include the credits and the source information for the platform. So I hope this session has given you a clearer idea of how MyOcean Viewer Pro can support your own projects, and maybe also inspire you to explore the viewer yourself. And if you need help along the way, Blue, our AI assistant, is available at any time of the day and to guide you, while when human support agent remained available whenever further assistance is needed. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Anaïs, for your presentation. It was very interesting for this tool that can be of great use for designers who want to participate in the challenge. We received a few questions during your presentation. The first one is, can you share the link with all the parameters so that we can have a play, or maybe...
Yeah, the share links conserve the geometries, the layers, the customize the appearance of the layers. So just with the share link, all the settings are saved, and you can rework to your visualization later if you want.
Nice. For the second question, we had earlier used APIs of Copernicus, Sentinel-2. So do we have any convention that can be followed blindly to access each category or product?
I can't give you an answer right now. So feel free to contact the support afterwards. But I don't have any ideas for that question. Sorry.
Well, maybe we can share it with you afterwards, and
Yes.
We'll add the answer to the post-event report that we'll send to all. participants to today's session. As you are presenting your own visualization tool, can these be used to do the project, or is this just to assist us in creating our own personal database? So maybe I'm going to answer this one. The MyOcean Pro Viewer, as Anaïs presented, is here for you to visualize the product, try and play with the data that is available for the challenge. But you can use any other visualization tools that you're used to afterwards. It's mainly here to help you visualize and download the data for the marine phenomena that you're interested in. So it's more an assistance than a design tool for the challenge. Did you choose in this example the Mascarene Islands as geometry to cover a generic surface around the eye of the cyclone that would help you make comparisons? Or is it about the effect of the cyclone on the Mascarene Islands?
No, this is just an example, and this geometry is very convenient for this case because the Mascarene Island is in the passage of the cyclone. So I use this geometry for my presentation to explore all the features the MyOcean Pro can offer to the viewers. So this is only for the purpose.
Nice. Our next question is it only NetCDF files that can be added from personal storage?
Yeah, I think when you upload your own files, you only can upload the NetCDF files. I guess I have to verify this information, but I guess it's only NetCDF files. Yes, drag a NetCDF file. It's right on the option. So in the area when you drag and drop the files, it's right. Drag a NetCDF file. So
okay.
Yes.
Does it show the source of each dataset, and does every data set have an open license?
Yes, all the data are open. You can download, reuse it for your own project. The only things we ask you is to use the credits and mention the Copernicus Marine credits in your work, but you can use the data freely. And you can check the source of each dataset in the product description page or in metadata or like this.
Yeah, the citation is in the metadata or the description of the product, right?
The description of the product is in the I don't know if the description is in the metadata, though the metadata can be read when you open the NetCDF on Python or in your visualization tool. But in the description can be see on the website. And you can also check the documentation the document related to this project to learn more about the product you use.
Okay. How reliable are the layer by layer readings used for data visualization?
In the visualization, I'm not sure that I understood what this question. For in MyOcean viewer, for more visibility, you can adjust some customizing option like the opacity, the appearance of the layers, change the color, or display a certain region with condition, with the edged area. But you have to play with some option to display the visualization you want. I'm not sure that I well understand this question. Sorry.
I understood it as you did, I guess. I know it can be shared, but can Anaïs share her demo? I think it's about the question we had on sharing the link to
Yeah,
the
I can
video.
share the link of this of my visualization if you want. No problem.
Okay, great. Does this platform take care of data cleansing by itself?
Cleansing by itself. I don't know for this question. Sorry, I can answer it.
Okay, well, also add it to the post-event report so that if you can find an answer to that. How about the license for the platform? Probably platform.
You can check the license in the information icon for the about page. If you have any question about this license, I invite you to ask Blue or AI or human support agent, because I don't know all the details of the license of MyOcean Viewer Pro. Sorry. So.
Okay. Which version of the MyOcean Pro Viewer are you currently using?
This is the only version available in the Copernicus Marine website. I don't know if the version is the 16.2.0, and you can check it in the About page of the viewer at the end of the About page. You will see this information.
And do we have to pay in order to use the tool for the Dataviz challenge?
No, you have to have a Copernicus Marine account. This is completely free. And once you have your own Copernicus Marine account, you can download the data and use all the options and the functionality available in the MyOcean Viewer Pro. This is the only things you have to do to have is an account, and you have to, yes, that's it.
Nice. So it's free open data, so there's no limitation to explore it and create data viz.
Yes, that's it.
Well, that's all for this session's Q&A. Thank you again, Anaïs, for your presentation and answers.
You're
If we have
welcome.
more questions coming, we'll share it with you, and the answers will be provided in the post-event report.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And with that, we can continue on with Catalina's presentation, step-by-step tutorial for her data visualization that she created for us. So, Catalina, the floor is yours.
Hi everyone. I'm gonna share my screen now. Now, I hope you can see it.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Catalina Hildebrandt. I'm a designer from Chile. I specialize in infographics, and I've been working for more than a year in the newspaper from Berlin. But before that, I worked with museums in Chile, with the government, and always translating maybe complex data into something that is for a broader audience. And I'm happy to share with you my experience with the data with MyOcean Pro. That is an amazing tool. And actually, the chatbot Blue helped me through the process of creating my piece, so I think it will help you too. And I have to say, my approach to this visualization is more from an artistic point of view, because that is my main tool. I'm a designer, and also like a little bit my experience of creating these pieces in the newsroom that is always very hectic, like very fast, and we are talking always to a huge audience. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about like visual communication, design principles, editorial design basics, newsroom engagement tips, and then I'm gonna go deeply to how I create my infographic for Copernicus with Copernicus data, my step-by-step making process. Also, I would like to give you, if you are not related to the design world, give you a little bit of tips where you can download like free tools to use it on your piece for the data challenge, and a small exercise that you can bring to home, just if you want to get loose with the visualization experience. So first of all, visual communication is, this is a sentence that I always use that I really like, is words make division, pictures make connections. And that's been always my case. I've been always working for a super huge audience from different backgrounds. And I find always that the pictures, that it can be like graphics, photos, whatever, make people like get into the real information. Of course, sometimes we have to add second layers of information to enrich our piece, but this is what is, for me, in my experience, the bridge to connect audience and what I want to communicate. Here in the right side, sorry, there is a part of an infographic. Infographic can have many shapes, you will see. And this is part of a book that I made for a Chilean community where we are talking about history about this region. And that, which I love, is like illustration in that case, and the infographic itself gives me like a window to the past to show to people, and in this case, tell them a little bit about history. For another very important point is that information design is as a principal action. So we say in the newsroom that facts are for everyone, and a little like data is that by 2050, the number of older people in the world will exceed the number of young people. So we have to design for them, for all of them. And also like facts or graphics, charts, everything can raise public awareness, and that can making people aware of the relevant statistical data can raise also public awareness about global issues. And for example, in the right side, I have this infographic that I made for the newspaper here in Berlin, where we're talking about housing crisis, but we use like a narrative that we all know, like it's Monopoly, to talk about like things that maybe are very uncomfortable and to get to our big audience. And another part of my job that is very also important is these infographics are always designed for a cause. And first of all, maybe this is important to clarify what is an infographic. An infographic is a visual way to explain information using elements like text, icons, charts, illustration, maps, numbers, whatever. And the purpose is to make complex information easier, faster, and more engaging to understand. So also, like for me, infographics serve a public interest. I have this example next to it about a really beautiful project that I was part on this year, where we can call it a poster, we can call it an infographic. The thing is, it has different elements, in this case, illustration and also text, where I designed these to educate women from a certain regions in the south of Chile, to help them to understand the ecosystem, and so they can fish the species that are allowed, they understand, and also to protect the environment. So it was very important for me, because usually these women in these communities, they don't have access to this information, and sometimes when they have the access for the information, it's very complex, and that's why we create this bridge with the infographic in this case. So, but for everything, and also for your data challenge, I think it's very, very important to build, to understand your audience. In the newsroom, we have an audience that is super diverse. It comes from different ages, different background, and in this context, we have to always understand it, like create a profile for it, and that will bring us as designers, like the different characteristics to what we're gonna use to create our piece. In this case, for the data challenge, you're gonna have way more time, of course, to sketch, to know what you want to tell about, tell to the audience, which audience. But in the newspaper, it's very fast. But in this case, we were creating an audience also means translate scientific data for non-specialist reader. For example, in this case, I'm not a scientist. I'm a designer, a graphic designer. So I was building this piece for myself in some way. Use recognizable regions to create geographic familiarity. This is very important in the case of when we're talking to a big audience and we want to really communicate and make it understandable. Is, for example, sometimes people don't know and cannot place things into the globe, and that is very common. This is my experience in my whole work life. With also in the newspaper, we do a lot of maps, and sometimes people, like the readers, like send letters back saying like, "Hey, where was this? Like, I don't know, like I missed this information." That's why it's very important to name things that are recognizable, to put a name, to put like a location, and I also encourage for you to do that. The other point is connect numbers with visible consequences. In this case, I'm gonna do it for wildlife because I'm gonna choose a narrative. I'm gonna tell a story with my piece basing on Copernicus data, and that has an introduction, the main body, and then a conclusion. And the conclusion usually is emotional, at least in the newsroom, that connects the audience with this, and it's also easy to remember. And well, that's what I was talking about. Create a narrative that is both informative and emotionally engaging. I don't mean with this like we are like making people cry. It's just like these emotional things is sometimes easier than we think. Like, and I'm gonna explain it better when I show you my piece. But sometimes using elements or naming things that are very common known, it's easy to make the audience to stay there and read your piece, because if nobody read it, it's not fulfilling the goal. And for at the end of the building an audience is design for clarity, not just for aesthetics. This is something, is there any designer in this audience? This is for me a challenge. Sometimes we want to build something very beautiful, very, very colorful, or not, I don't know, like very beautiful. But when we are dealing with data, we have to, first the data gives us the body, and then we create all around it. That is at least my experience. So I'm gonna talk briefly about tiny things about design, because I can spend hours talking about design and I don't want to bother you with that. But something very important is the typography we choose. Yes, maybe you have heard this before, but typography, it helps people read and get the information better. In these cases, for example, when we are creating for web design or print design, it can be different, but some of the rules is that it has to have a consistent style, consistent character width, a good X height, recognizable ascenders and descenders. That is very technical, but you can see in the example that the first A is way better than the other ones, and that's why we choose always like these fonts that are already approved by organizations. For example, I'm gonna use in my piece a font that is built for people with dyslexia, so it's easier to read in any context. And that's the other point, the availability for people. I don't know if you have access for Adobe Font or other library of fonts, but I recommend always to use open fonts from Google Font, for example. They're also very well designed for web and for print, so you can download it there and it's easy. Of course, I have my favorite. You can ask me then and I can tell you, but the one that I'm gonna show you, I recommend you to download if you want, because it's very nice and also has a lot of flexibility. And also, this is, I think we all do it as professionals, but I need to say it also, is find always inspiration before starting your creation. In my case, it's a very important step in my creative process, because I always hear this in the design school back then, many years down, that the wheel was already made. So you have to just look. Maybe someone did the same that you want to do, and that is a great inspiration. With this, I don't mean that we have to copy, but these books that I'm showing, that I recommend a lot, they're great examples of what we can do with data. And actually, I recommend the first one, most of all, for this data challenge, is Phenomena. Is from a French author, very nice, where she explains scientific phenomena in the world with very beautiful data visualization or infographics. So if you can blend it, buy it. Sadly, it's not online. I recommend it to get inspiration. And I'm gonna talk a little. Sometimes we learn more about with the not to dos than to dos. So I have here a brief common mistakes. I don't want to bore you with this, but these are maybe things that are like easily mistakes for beginners, like too many fonts, not using grids, bad color choices. That makes also poor contrast, and lack of white spaces. For example, here, too many fonts. You can see in the left one, like we have 4 different fonts, and usually that makes that the reader, it gets a little bit confused. When I was starting to design, I always wanted to try all the fonts because usually it's very, very fun. But I always recommend to choose a family, like we all know Times New Roman. Like, it's not a good example now, but we all know this font, and use it completely with the different bold, regular, italic, all this, because that also makes your piece consistent and creates a narrative. Also, this is, I think, the biggest mistake that we can all do is not using a grid. If you're gonna use a software like, I don't know, Adobe Illustrator to create your piece after using Copernicus data, I always recommend to use a grid. I'm gonna show you later a little bit how I build my grid and what it is so important. But I think it's very important to have that, because that gives you not only an order for the reader, also gives you the flexibility that maybe you will need to maybe use your same design or data visualization for a mobile app or a web. Me as a designer, I always thinking on the different formats, because as audience come from different angles. Sometimes people read in the newspaper, sometimes people read in the mobile. I'm always thinking like which is the best way to design, and that's why the grid, it gives you like the base to then not redesigning everything. It's just using these parameters to create your design for different formats. Poor contrast, this is very easy, like the left, even though that I love these colors, blue and fuchsia, they are not working. You can see that it's vibrating. That is always happening in the screen. So I recommend like the colors of the right, for example, it's a good example. And also you can Google the color wheel, and always the one that are opposite, they are working very well. And otherwise, this is not very legible, and we are hoping that people can read. And lack of white spaces, this is also connected to the grid. That is very important. Please do it. We have to let our things breathe. So that's a super. And why we need this is because when everything is together and packed, people usually can do like cross-reading and miss a lot of information. In the other case, people can at least select what they want to read, and we have to aim that people read at least the titles nowadays. So, and another part of design, and I think it will help you to your piece, is the visual hierarchy. It's a little bit of where we had talked already, but I want to talk again about it. Is size and scale. Like of course, like size matters in this case. When you put a data huge in the center of the screen, that is gonna be the first thing that I read. Spacing, as we talk, color and contrast are very important. Also to highlight things. The typography hierarchy, we're gonna use maybe the titles in bold to just show the title, and then very light to talk about what we are showing, or maybe the numbers are in bold of the certain time frame are bold to talk just about it. I don't know. You have to, for all these decisions, you have to create a storytelling and a narrative. And these are layouts that works always in web newspaper. You can see different elements, like there is a title, there is a photo or graphic, and text, and a lot of white space to make the things breathe. There's many examples like this in internet, but I work with these formats a lot in the newspaper and also for my pieces. Also, you're gonna see in the piece that I created for this occasion, I use this logic where there's big title, then the main graphic, and then the second layer of information. And what I recommend always to the people that have the opportunity to talk about my work is to find a personal brand, something that identifies your work, not because to sell it, it's because it makes it easier to work with it. It makes it funnier. And for me, when I discovered that I can really draw, really draw, because I do scientific drawings for other projects. That was my main tool to use in all my data visualization and infographics, because that gives identity, that gives also for myself a place of enjoyment. And this is, for example, an infographic. The process of an illustration, a big infographic that is for a national park in Chile. And I recommend you to explore, to identify what is like defining you as a creative person, and that can be fun. I don't know, can be photograph that I join in your graphic or your data visualization, can be also illustration, can be the graphic itself is just your brand. I don't know, but I recommend you to see, to explore, to think what would you like to show to the people. And this is related only for newsroom, and I'm talking only for my experience. I know this is a designer experience, newsroom experience, and maybe it's not that important when we are talking only about data, but this has to be for this piece that you're going to create and I created has to be for a broader audience and has to be engagement. So here I have different examples of what makes people engage with these infographics. These are all infographics online from very, very, very famous newspaper, Washington Post, New York Times, and other ones. And they all have the same rule of a title that is engaging the audience, and a subtitle or something that explain a little bit. And it's not always descriptive. Like it's not like I don't know. For example, in the newspaper in Berlin, I started just describing the graphic that was below, like race of the BIP of the different countries. And instead of like maybe analyzing and give already like a thesis to my audience, like saying like the increment of whatever, like you can be creative to the title so people can engage, because this is the main part to make people stay, at least in the newspaper. If they don't, if they are not interested by it, they won't read our whole data visualization, and we want to deliver that information. I think this one from the bird who will win gold in the bird Olympics. We simulated a race to find out. That is from New York Times. If you want to Google it, that one is very, very nice because you can see like the illustrations they made with scientific data, and they also create this piece in the context of Olympics. So they choose a very specific narrative to talk about birds in a context that with the whole world we were talking about the Olympics, and they use it. And I think that is always very good for a narrative when we connect things that are very maybe from the context in the time that we are living to deliver data that maybe are not related at all. So going now to specifically the case that I work for, Copernicus case study. So Anaïs explained it very well how to use MyOcean Pro. I also use it. I have another approach, maybe as you, if you're an engineer, if you're a scientist, I have another approach. I do it like backwards. I need to visualize it first to understand it because I'm a very visual person. And if you are designers there, maybe you will understand. And I choose the topic of sea temperature in the Arctic regions. But this data is so huge, it has so much information for me to approach it on a graphic that I make the decision, and this also maybe you have to do it too, to choose places. I did the decision of choosing places that are recognizable for a broader audience, and I took the data from these specific points to make a proposal, and these are connected to Greenland and I choose Greenland in this case because it's been in the news so much lately that I thought like, well, this is gonna be recognizable for maybe the kids in Chile and an old man in Germany. So, and that was my purpose. And well, we have to define always, and I invite you to do the same, which are the goals with your piece. This was very specific for me. So show how Copernicus data can be used as a foundation for information design, transform scientific data into a news-oriented visual narrative, explain the link between warmer seas, thinner ice, and Arctic ecosystem pressure, and combine charts, maps, and species-based storytelling in one current editorial piece. I recommend always, this was, of course, this was always an exercise with you in the university. I do it in my job, like defining goals is very important because that also set the guidelines to what I'm creating, what for I'm creating it. So I recommend you to also be clear on that. Maybe 3 goals of your data visualization, but because that will also help you to create the narrative. I'm repeating that word a lot, but I swear that is very, very important. So I'm going to talk to you step by step what I did to create my piece, and finally I'm going to show you my piece that I hope you like. So first of all, and what I recommend you to do also is to choose a topic worth of investigation and visualizing it. For me, and as Anaïs showed it in the last session, I was exploring the library from Copernicus, spending there a lot, like seeing what topic it calls me, what is related now to the news, what can I talk, and for that I really took my time to see what is there, and what is amazing is like you can visualize everything in MyOcean Pro, and also the website is very friendly, so you can analyze, see what do you want to talk about, and then the second point for me, okay, I choose the Arctic space and sea temperature because for me, non-specialist on the topic, it was easy to comprehend. Like sea temperature for a broader audience, we all understand that, and the Arctic is also very recognizable. So I defined it, at least like the macro was that for me, and then I define a specific editorial angle. So we have the Arctic area, the topic of the variable of sea temperature, and I narrow it to a specific time frame that is I'm gonna show you later, and choosing these 3 points around Greenland. And well, then I opened the data set in MyOcean Pro. I'm gonna show you a tiny video after it, how did I do it, identifying these 3 places, and then I reduced the complexity because we have these huge data sets that for me as a designer, I say that a lot, it's a little bit overwhelming when we see so much data. I mean, my background is very artistic, so what I'm learning through my jobs is to clean this data set to make it for me manageable and create a story out of it. And this is the MyOcean Pro. As Anaïs also showed, I choose this area and I choose these 3 places that I'm clicking now. And because I was analyzing it and they were like changing the most sea temperature than other places in the Arctic zone. And then I download the CSV. I always work with CSV when I have to translate into graphics. This is how I've been doing it in the newspaper too. We sometimes receive these huge files of CSV, and then I have to make it cleaner, like taking the variables that I want. In this case, it's only temperature and a specific time frame. And I work in Excel. Well, I wanted to hear, like, if you didn't notice, that you can export this for having the CSV file. And this is one I wanted to show you. Like, I received this huge table from Copernicus that is, for me, it's like, oh, what can I do with it? I need to scope. I need to choose like a time frame. And then when I choose this like time frame, spaces, geographical locations in the map, I organize everything in the good old Excel to make it very, for me, easy to understand. And I try to change the formats of the values to use it better for my purposes. And so this is the tool and the practical thing that I want to teach you. I usually use this visualization platform called Flourish. I recommend you to, if you want to create like an interactive graphic with Copernicus, there is so many options there. I swear I'm not being paid from them. It's a very good platform. You can join them for free. And by free, you can have the iframe that you can insert. If you are familiar to HTML code, you can insert on that and it's gonna be visualized. And it's very nice because it's made for designers. That we are not like data or programmers. It's very nice. So if you want a first approach, and as Florian said, it's not you can use other platform and software to create your piece. I think this is a good one. Also, Data Wrapper is very good. We also use it, but I think Flourish is nice because has more aesthetics and options to change and to play with it. And I'm gonna show you a little bit. So you get in and it's gonna look like this. But this is, for example, how I work with it. This is the library they have. Like, these are all the options. You can, like, as you can search in the library for Copernicus, then you can search here which type of graphic can suit your data better. As you can see, there is many types, and it's all is for free. You can explore and play with it. And in this case, for my Copernicus challenge, I choose this graphic for the end of the design, but I wanted to show you here this is how the data is shown. So first, I always like to organize the data in Excel. how they in Flourish are organizing it too, you know? So then I just copy the data and it's very organized. And here I'm showing like the different things that you can do to change your graphic to make it like more personal, custom. There is many things to play with, and it's if you are not if you are a designer and you have less like experience with it, I think it's a good start. Also for non-designers, sorry, I think it's very good to a better approach to a data visualization that is very engaging. And very many newspapers in Germany we use this platform, starting from us. Also Welt, I don't know if you know that one. I don't know if you know Spiegel. They also use it, so it's very recommendable. And for example, this I'm gonna show you like my first approach to the graphic that I created, starting from Copernicus data, because my decision was to create this data out of these three spaces that I'm naming, you can see here, and to see like, okay, how do I want to visualize it? And was one of the options that Flourish gave me. Was there, I took it. And I created this chart that is like a race for temperature. And I was like, this is nice, this is cool, because you can see on live who is like winning in temperature. And also is very good for inter-region different. You see like Irmingelse is way more hotter than the other ones, and that is very clear. We can all understand that. But I was thinking maybe there is better options. And even though that I really like when I don't know, sometimes we all have like special attention to things. For me, when things are moving on the screen, like graphics, I engage immediately. That's why I choose this one too. And this is the option. Wait, this is the option that I made for static formats, like as a print. And I wanted to show you this option starting from the other, because there's some aspects that I find very important in order to design for a broader audience. That is, for example, you can see here, this text, orange marks the warmer order. This text is a reading guideline that we always use to push a little bit our reader to what we want them to see, you know? They already had the title, they already have the subtitle, and we need to get the information. And sometimes when the data is complex, I give this reading guide to the people. And also in this case, let's say this is for a newspaper, as I choose like the higher and the lowest for each place to showcase it. And also that is in the last days is increasing the temperature. Also in the newspaper, as in everything very serious work, we always put the information, the data information, because it's very important to give credibility to our piece. But I was like, this was my first approach, okay? And I wanted to tell you, like, I use Illustrator for the second one. If you know a little bit of Illustrator, that is great. I didn't do anything very complex. Something that I miss that I think is important, like you can create things in Flourish, and you can just have the iframe code for free. Sadly, before you can even download the SVG to work on Illustrator, but they changed it. But what I do, and maybe you find a better solution, is screenshot and recreating in Illustrator. I do that with many graphics from Flourish, because they took this away. But it's okay, because I can do the same with Excel and it will be the same. But I like the aesthetical aspects that Flourish gave me to create my piece on Illustrator. Saying that, I was like thinking like maybe for the topic and the narrative that I choose, to repeat again, I choose the narrative of sea temperature in this place is around Greenland in this time frame from November 25 to March 26. I was thinking like maybe the line was too close to what also MyOcean Pro is showing. I wanted to maybe give a second layer of information and keeping the narrative of temperature. And I think this chart it suits that purpose, and you can create this also in Flourish, and even in this case, it's very interactive. And so even though the original line chart was useful once the data had been cleaned, but after reviewing the patterns more closely, I chose to reassign it as a heat map because it communicates the contrast between regions faster in a more visually intuitive way. And this is the first design in Flourish. You can use this iframe and put it in your HTML, sorry, or you can translate again to a printing format. I like to design for both always. In the newspaper, I have to design for print and for web. So this will be the printing version where you have the 3 places compare. It's very easy to read. Again, I use the same guidelines, reading guides, to guide the readers and the audience towards my graphic. And an exercise that I like to do in these topics that are way more maybe complex for many people, I ask people that are nothing related to the topic, like, do you understand? Can you explain me this graphic? And if that is successful, the piece is successful. Like, because that is my goal, that people that are not related to the topic and they are not a specialist, they understand. In this case, I shared this with my boyfriend and I asked him, can you explain me what you are saying? And at the beginning he was like, no, I'm missing some things, I don't know. And then I add some things like these or these details and even the reading guide. And then he was like, okay, yes, it's very clear. Like, and that was nice. That exercise I always recommend to you to do it when you have time. In the newspaper we don't have time, but when I create pieces for museums, I usually like to ask children if they understand the things, because when children or really old people understand, usually the design is successful for everyone. So this is gonna be my main graphic created from Copernicus data. And then it comes the editorial aspect of it. And I really, really, really recommend you to sketch everything. I'm an old lady in this case, and I love to do everything on paper. So I draw a lot how the layout can be if I'm creating things for the screen of this. Screen of the presentation. I'm gonna create everything for that. And usually I use my very, very, very loved platform software that is Adobe Illustrator. I hope you have any approach to it. If not, you can also maybe I can help with some tutorials, sharing some information to learn how to use it. Sadly, this Adobe Illustrator is very expensive, but there is an open source one that I don't remember the name now, but I can give you after it the name of it, because there is a software that are open source and you can do the same as Illustrator. It's just I'm already engaged with Adobe for many, many years and I love to use it. And well, this first, we have the main piece in this case, the graphic that we want to show and that we want to communicate to people. And now, as a designer, as a person who works in the newspaper, we have to give it narrative. So that's why I like to sketch everything to see how it is. And then I translate it to Illustrator. This is the canvas from Illustrator. You can see that is black, as I showed you before, the graphic. And there's the grid. It's very soft, but you have to do the grid. Doesn't matter where. And here is like how I'm gonna show you just a little bit how I'm putting the elements. I would love to extend more on how to use some tools on Illustrator. Maybe it's not very complex. Here I'm putting the title, as I said before, a nice title, and then a subtitle to explain a little bit about the graphic, and then comes the different elements that I already shown you, like heat charts for each part that I choose for this occasion to talk about sea temperature. And you can see that everything is aligned on the grid. I have spaces in both sides. So when I showcase, for example, this on a web, I have the space in between in each side, sorry. And that also is giving like, it's let breathe the information in our piece. And that is very, very important for people to read it. Here I'm just like copying the graphics. How I made this, this is maybe too basic for many of you, but this is how I work, and I would just want to be honest. I took what I created in Flourish, screenshot and make it here, and then translate and rebuild it here. And that's is very simple. It's very loyal to the original information, because it's all based on that CSV file to this. And here, like, the narrative is not only of what we are saying, also how we are looking. So in this case, I choose these colorful colors, and that is the font that I was going to recommend you before, the Atkinson Hyperlegible font. And I recommend it. It's very nice. It's open source. It's free. You can just Google it, and you will download it for the official website from it. And we choose a specific aesthetic because that's how we give our graphic a strong narrative structure, and that is important to deliver the message. And now I'm gonna show you piece by piece how I create this infographic. So first, we have an attention-grabbing title, the Arctic Fever. I choose that one. 2 words, very catchy. I think people will say it sounds like a song from Dua Lipa. So I said like, this can be nice. Then I did like a subtitle explaining, naming also Copernicus Marine service. This also gives a lot of credibility to my piece. And then a short introduction to what we're gonna showcase in our main graphic. Then comes the main graphic that we already saw, is the temperature chart as the central evidence for our whole narrative. And as I told you, the small reading hints to help the audience to understand better. And this is, oh, sorry, I hope you can read the last point, but this is something that I love to do for my big infographics, is to give the soul to it. As I told you before, find your personal brand. In this case, I use my personal brand here with illustration. The globe is painted by me to show and to make people approach better to the geospatial world. So these stars that are in the whole infographic are the places that are analyzed, and people are easily can recognize this without being overwhelmed of the full information of a globe. And I choose this species. This is totally extra, but I chose it to close the whole narrative. And these species are very, very close to us. We all know what is a polar bear. We have seen it, and people have it in the t-shirts, so people can relate way better, and they feel way more emotional towards our piece, and maybe they get really the information that we want to deliver. And so I chose these characters as a conclusion for my piece. And not only that, I also wanted to give my whole narrative sustain. So I use another data set from Copernicus, but in a very simple way. I use the same logic as before, but of taking this, download the CSV file, translating it into Excel, and then take it to Flourish. And this is the sea ice thickness. And I compare also these 3 same spots in this geographical area from Arctic to this is just to give more sustain to my main message. Like, okay, this is happening, this is the area, and now this is also another like aspect of this variable. This is the narrative I choose. Maybe you can be way more specific, but I like to tell a whole story. I wanted to just go back to this to remember you. This is what I had from the sea ice thickness that you can download from Copernicus, MyOcean Pro Viewer, and that's how I transform it. And this is the last message that I like to give to the audience. This is a broad audience. The species are below. These are the species that maybe are suffering or are affected or whatever by the sea temperature and the sea ice thickness. And again, there are 4 recognizable small text. A very good tip is that people don't read more than 75 words per paragraph. And I mean, of course, there are many people who read more, but in experience, for example, for national parks, when I was working for national parks, people don't stay for too long. So, and this is also for newspaper, people, and nowadays we all know with all the apps, TikTok, Instagram, people are way more faster scrolling and they don't get. So usually I recommend to do small text case with no more than 75. Maybe nowadays it's even shorter, but it's a good tip when you want to really deliver the message. And this is how it looks, and I'm gonna show you now the website because I split it here to show it in the screen, but I built a very simple website that I want to share with you now. And let me 1 second here. I hope you can see it. And this is the website that I built for it. So Arctic fever, and now we have, and as you can see, my design use all the screen, so you get the information in one screen. And then we have the main graphic. I did this little movement with coding, and also I have to say, usually these big projects with a lot of information, we are a team working on it, and that's very important to have a team sometimes because it's very good to exchange a different point of view, if it's working or not. In this case, I was working on this, and I always ask of opinion, how people perceive this. And I'm gonna give you the link so you can maybe take a look on this. And this is the second part, second layer of information. Here we have the globe that this is the same area that I choose from Copernicus data. You can see a small animation of the sea getting warmer in these areas. And I also did these clickable windows with the information that I showed you before, just to make it, because also another tip, this is way more maybe business driven. When people stay more in your website, that is better for the web itself. So this is more interactive, so people maybe can click and read a little bit, and it's using the whole screen. And now is the third layer of information with the sea thickness ice, but it's very simple. It's just the same, but again, I'm using the whole screen to showcase it, so it's not coded. And the last message, where I feel emotional, maybe I said okay, this is important. Maybe we need more time to create, what can we do? I don't know, climate change, whatever. But this is the last part of it. And as you can see, the whole page has a very strong identity, visual identity. I use the same colors. I use the stars to cut in between the information. And yeah, that's the piece. I hope you like it. I had so much fun doing it and investigating. And I hope it inspires you to do something nice too with the data challenge. But this is not the end though. I'm gonna go back to my presentation because I wanted to show you the last things. We are here. And also I wanted to show you this, because I'm a full integral designer, I design for many formats. And sometimes your piece can also be in a magazine. I imagine this can be National Geographic sometimes. And I put this on a mock-up to showcase it. But why I'm able to do this so easily, because it was an easy exercise, is because I use the grid. And that's why I wanted to insist on that. Please use the grid, because in that way you can transform your designs for every format. Here I did this. If it was printing, if we have a mobile app, maybe it can be like this. And that is very, very, for me, it's a good exercise, because that's how I see the information, how it works, how is maybe too much, what is maybe too much, and where is I need more detail. So I recommend you also to think in different formats. And going already to the end of my talk, I'm gonna give you like small tips from a designer. So if you are not a designer, or you are and you don't know this website, but icons, you can download many icons in the non project. If you want to
Sorry,
do a
Catalina. We see your presentation mode. We don't see the full screen, so it's a bit small.
oh, that's weird. I'm so sorry.
It was good until now. It's just when you shared your
This one,
browser, I think.
and now?
No, we see your.
Wait, I'm gonna share it again. I'm so sorry.
No worries. It was good until the website.
I'm sorry. Uh, Now you can see it.
Yes,
Did you see this in big or in small?
in small.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Well, this is big. Now,
Yes.
now you can see like as this magazine kind of National Geographic that I was inspired. This is the mobile app that I talk already. I don't want to repeat things to not bother you. And these are the quick tips. Maybe you can do a screenshot from it. As I was saying before, the icons, you can download many different icons and styles from the Noun project. You have to create a session and download for free when you are not using for a commercial purpose. Well, the interactive charts, you can log in into Flourish. Really recommend it. And also data wrapper, I didn't write it. I can write it down. Data wrapper is the same as Flourish, but it's a little bit more data driven. It's less designer, so maybe you will also like it. And I think also has way more options to download what you create there without paying. So I think that is nice. When sometimes this happened to me when I have this amount of data and I don't know which form can get this data, because there's so many options sometimes, I go to the Dataviz project. That is a library where they show many different type of charts and graphics, and they tell you what kind of data suits this graphic. And that's a cool place to start sometimes when you are not in already knowing what do you want to design. And another thing, like just to repeat from I already say, reduce complexity. Choose an angle that it makes everything easier to design. Guide the reader. We are all over the place all the time. So when we are reading or seeing data visualization, maybe we're thinking another thing. So it's nice to have things that bring us to the information. Design for understanding, as it's very, very self-descriptive. Test readability. That's what I said before. Like, it's nice to show our piece to people that are not related to the content, and if they understand, I mean, you are a success. You have success, and build a story. I always think this is not just a chart; it's a narrative, it's a story, and it's nice to think about that, because I always think as a comic maybe, and I don't know, in the newspaper, when I build the charts or the graphics or the infographics, they're always with text and information. Of course, these are articles and they're very long, but that's how we build a story also. It's not only the photo, the graphic, the chart, the illustration, it's also the other layer of information that helps to build a full context, and I recommend you to do that too. And this is the small exercise, not for doing here. Maybe if you want to do it at home, to get loose with data visualization, you don't need to do it now. But I think I did this also in the past. It's from a book that is very good. and they have different exercises on the book to get comfortable with data visualization and by analyzing or context. You can do a screenshot if you want, but it's about mostly analyzing what kind of visual representations we have around us. These have 4 or 5 different questions that you can do to yourself, and also you can apply these questions in the context of your piece to feel like is aiming your goals or not. And that's it. Thank you for listening to me. I hope you like it. Thank you for Copernicus for inviting me here. For me, it was a challenge to do this too because it's data that I'm not familiar to, like, but I love it. And MyOcean Pro is a very nice tool, and I recommend you to all to explore it. I spent like hours just to playing with the different details they offer. So I really recommend it to you to do that before you create your piece. And if you have any question about Flourish, Illustrator, and where to download the things that I told you, please you can let me know, and I would love to help you. So thank you.
Thank you, Catalina, for your presentation and for this nice detailed process you had for creating your Dataviz. We received a few questions for you, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, I hope that I can answer.
Well, if you cannot answer, we'll add it to the post-event report so that if you need more time to think about an answer, we'll send you the questions right after.
Great.
For the first one, it's thank you for the tips. What tutorials you recommend for naturalistic illustration?
Oh, that's so good. I can send you links because, of course, I don't have it now, but I have a few artists, for example, they are Chilean as me, and they're very good. And I can send like the names. I have 3 at least, and they're very good by teaching naturalist in illustration. It's amazing. I also taught that in one time, teaching people how to draw whales. And sadly, I don't have a tutorial, but I can for sure give you at least 3 names then because I don't have them now.
Nice, thank you. How did you animate the graphics for the Arctic Fever website? It's stunning.
The main graphic I animated with CS. I'm very bad. I'm also kind of dyslexic with the letter CSS language. I also had help because I'm starting in this coding world. For the movement of the graphics, I use that. For the animation of the global from the globe, I use Procreate. That is a drawing application that comes with iPad. You have to pay $6 per year, and I did it frame by frame. So there are 15 frames where I was changing the color of the water to create this. Is a small animation of 11 seconds. So it took me really nothing.
Thank you very much, Catalina. First, how did you create the web page that is hosting your project? Did you use a specific tool? It is very interactive and intuitive.
I use Claude page. I create an account there to do this to host it because you don't need to pay to host this website. I can also send you the link of that. I was actually looking the best way to create a website for this occasion without paying, and this was the one that I encountered. And I use HTML to create the full code. Again, I was having a lot of help from a coding friend because I'm learning to do it. But it's very friendly, and the website where I host my website, the Claude Flirt page. That's it. It's very easy, so I can show you. I can send you the link, and I think it's very intuitive how they presented it for you to host it without any price, and it's for aesthetic pages. So it's for these occasions. It's perfect.
Okay, nice. Could you share how much time this project took you?
I have to say that it took me a while because I was so unsure. Uh, Sometimes I want to talk a lot, and I was to I want to tell so many things from Copernicus data. So the main part of deciding what to tell took me days to deciding. But then when I had clear of what I wanted to tell, the project itself, like designing, being like in the practical part, it took me 3 hours. 3 or 4 hours. The creative part and the thinking part, it took me way more. But when I was clear on that, 3 or 4 hours.
Nice. Then we have your last question. Which parameters do you typically consider when mapping layers apart from seawater temperature? And additionally, is it possible to measure phytoplankton data and ice density in polar region as well?
Well, I think that is from for MyOcean Pro. Like they have that information, and they can you can download these specifically topics like phytoplankton data and the ice density. They have it. They have the layers there, and you can use that. But I don't know if I understand very well the question. But I use this only parameter of sea water temperature, sorry, because it was easier for me to create a narrative. I think you can add way more more layers as I added like the ice thickness. I use it separately because sometimes people get overwhelmed with so many layers in one visualization. But I think you can do whatever if it's clear and if it like fulfill the goals of what you want to communicate. But the phytoplankton data and ice density, I think you can download in MyOcean Pro and play with it.
Yes. And that's it for. Oh, no. Is there any free mobile app to use?
Oh, to be honest, what I do in my other jobs, we have used Figma. I don't know if that works in this context to showcase mobile apps design. That can be useful. And if you don't know how to, but that's the only thing I can think about right now. Maybe I can Google and I can search for it and give you more alternative.
Okay, thank you. Do we have more questions for Catalina? I think not. Thank you again for your presentation and your design and presenting also your design process during this session. It was very, very rich and very inspiring. So thank you again for participating in today's session for the Dataviz Challenge.
Thank you, and thank you all. I hope it helped you, and I invite you to explore different tools like the ones that I name or whatever you need to showcase the data from Copernicus. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you. Thank you, you too.
Bye.
We will close this session now, but before that, we can kick off the challenge with all the tools and example we've seen today. So now the challenge is officially open. From now on, you can explore the data, test ideas, and start creating at your own pace. You have the tools, you have the data, and you have time. Well, until June. If you're wondering where to start, here's a simple approach. First, spend some time in the resources and challenge rules section, not to read everything, but to spot a dataset or topic that resonates with you. Then step away from the tools for a moment and think about the story you want to tell. As Catalina said, you can sketch ideas, draw on paper, test narratives. The technical part comes after the idea. Just to reset expectations, this is not a scientific competition and it's not about showing advanced technical skills. We're interested in how you interpret the data, how you choose to frame it, and how clearly the message comes through. Simple visual forms can be extremely powerful if the story is well told. You have a lot of freedom in this challenge. You can submit static images, animations, interactive pieces, whatever fits your idea. You can work alone or in a small team, and importantly, you keep full ownership of your work. Copernicus Marine will only share it with proper credit and without modifying it without your consent and agreement. All of this is detailed clearly in the challenge rules on the website and also in the submission form that you will find in the challenge rules and participation tab. After the event, the homepage of the event will be redesigned so that you can find all the submission and rules directly on the front page. This challenge exists because ocean data deserves to live outside of scientific reports. We genuinely want to see how designers and creative practitioners interpret these datasets and what kinds of visual languages you bring to them. Beyond learning and experimentation, there's also strong visibility at stake. The winning design may become the cover of the 10th edition of the Ocean State Report. If you need more information on this report, you can check the first session we did on Tuesday. There's a replay on the website. And other selected designs from the challenge will be shared on Copernicus social media, and other means of communication. So there's a great visibility also at stake for any participant to the challenge. Maybe we can take a few questions on the challenge before wrapping it up. And I will start sharing the question tab if we have any questions. If you have more questions, we can anyway use the post-event report to answer any remaining questions. And as Catalina said, there is a blue companion on the Copernicus website that you can use to help you go through the data, explore MyOcean Pro. It will help you, and if it cannot answer your questions, there is humans also behind the chat that can answer your questions. We have one question: is in which platform we have to create the project? Again, all the tools that you are used to, you can use for the data visualization. Copernicus has several tools that can help you understand the data, explore it, visualize it, select a specific time period. All of this is made available to you. The only requirement for the visualization is that you use Copernicus Marine data. You can also complement it with other sources if it helps for the story of your design. But otherwise, for anything that is visual or design oriented, you can use any software that you are used to. Our next question is: how many entries will be selected as winners, including the main winner, whose output gets to be displayed in the report? So for the Ocean State report, there will be only one winner because there's only one cover. However, in any visualization that fits the requirements, so that it uses Copernicus Marine data that has a name, an author, or a team, and with the details of which products were used, will be displayed on Copernicus website, which has tens of thousands of users, and will be also communicated on Copernicus Marine Service social media. Already on LinkedIn, there's 15,000 followers, and we have also other means of communication. So there will be a campaign of communication, always mentioning and citing the authors, of course, because as I said, you keep full ownership of your visualizations. But it's not only the winners that will gain visibility, it's all participants to the challenge. can we submit multiple entries, like different topic ideas, or if someone wants to submit both individual work as well, one with a team? This is a good question. We are open to any visualization. So if you have time and interest in the Copernicus Marine data, you can, of course, participate as many entries as you want. And again, for the team or individual, we just need one contact person to be able to contact you for reshaping your visualization, for example, for the cover, or discuss some details on your presentation, on your visualization before we share it on social media. So we just need one contact person. Otherwise, you can work as team or individuals, and each individual can send a visualization if needed. Just make sure that the name of your visualization is well described in the file so that we can easily identify it. Will the ocean state report cover entail static visualization or dynamic ones for the digital publication? So far, we've only discussed the cover, but of course there will be a website linked to the ocean state report, so it can be possible that we also post the dynamic ones. Again, if you submit a static, a dynamic, or interactive visualization, we'll contact you to adapt it for the cover to have a static one. But any format is accepted for the challenge. All the formats that are accepted are written on the webpage. Where and how we should submit our work. So not via email. The submission form is available on the website, on the challenge website. I will show you now. In the challenge rules and participation, you have at the top of the page the submission form. There will be a button added to the homepage afterwards so that it's easily accessible. The file will be directly submitted using this form, and will collect also information on the authors, the description that should be displayed with the visualization. If you need a handle to communicate on social media, we can also modify the name that we display on our communication. So everything is included in the submission form. So you will be guided step by step. And with that, I think we are done with the questions. If you have more, the Q&A section will be open for a few minutes, and then we'll add the questions to the post-event report that we'll send you in the next few days. Before we wrap up, I need to share my other screen, which is this one. One last reminder about the replays and polls. So you'll find both of these on the event website through the menu at the top of the page. We will also send you an email to let you know when the replay is available and a link to the poll about today's webinar. And you'll also receive a certificate of attendance after today's event. If you'd like to go further after today's session, I encourage you to visit the Copernicus Marine Service YouTube channel, where you'll find a rich library of webinars and training sessions from the past few years, all freely available, and with some nice use cases of the use of Copernicus Marine data for more research purposes. You can also discover all Copernicus Marine events, both upcoming and past, via the Events tab on the Copernicus website in the top right menu of the website. There you can open any event page for details and participation. Having said that, all that remains is for me to wish you a lovely day and to thank you for your attention for this session. And we're excited to see you again until June for your submissions of Dataviz. Thank you all and have a nice day.